is he really the best in the world at what he does? That's right, I'm talking about Chris Jericho, and I'm doing the review for the Breaking the Code Behind the Walls of Chris Jericho. Now, I've seen John the Jaws' review for this DVD, and I would have to... I possibly agree on a bit of what he has to say. I'm not saying that I disagree on what he has to say, but I do agree on some of the stuff that he says. Especially the one thing that he adds, that they don't have the Rock championship match up at Vengeance. I think it was Vengeance. Sorry, I'm just looking at the booklet. So yeah, I enjoyed this DVD so much. In the first disc, of course, just like every other biography, talks about his life. A small boy in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, who wants to become a professional wrestler, but at the same time wanted to become a rock star or a singer. And during his years in high school, of course, doing bands, with his friends, jam sessions. And of course, when he wants to become a professional wrestler, he has to wait a year or so to get into training with the Hart Foundation, or the Hart Family Dungeon. I think it was I can't remember. Well, the training center with the Hart family. Well, not really with the Hart family, and while waiting, going to Creecom, very, and then of course growing up to becoming a fantastic wrestler, being the first time to win, the first ever WWF or WWE Undisputed Champion, being the main event of WrestleMania 18, which, would have to be, especially in Canada. I think it was in Canada. I'm not too sure if that was in Canada. No, I'm not too sure. But I think that was in Canada. But anyway, and then of course becoming the 9-time Intercontinental Champion, which breaking his own record. And of course, it shows a lot of his life outside the ring, outside the squared circle. Of course, I'll go through the DVDs because this is a... I've got the booklet here, I might as well. Disc 2 had the introduction of saying that, he said that finally these WWE monkeys made a DVD of me. Anyway, and he talks about how any other collection is boring, but mine's better because this is my own collection. And he goes, this is Chris Jericho's collection. Something like that. But anyway, his first match is, I think is his debut, as John the Jaws says. I think it was, I'm not too sure. But Cowboy Chris Jericho versus Lance T. Storm. I think it was a 15-minute. And John the Jaws did say that went for 12 minutes long. Very nice 15 minutes. I didn't even notice that. But it was a pretty okay match for it to end up in a draw. Lance T. Storm, or Lance Storm, is a pretty good wrestler. The Thrill Seekers versus the Infernos in 1994, just on March the 12th, 1994. Just by thinking back, just by looking back at this match up at Smoky Mountain Wrestling, the Infernos are really weak. I can tell you that right now. You knew they were going to lose. The Thrill Seekers were going to win anyway, but the International Junior Heavyweight Championship match, Chris Jericho versus Ultimate Dragon. Or Ultimo Dragon, sorry. I'm not a big fan of Japanese wrestling. I'm not too sure why, but I just skipped it. I'm not a big fan of it, Anyway. Chris Jericho versus Cactus Jack, awesome match back at ECW, awesome match, and this was the only ECW match that they've put on his DVD. It's still a good match though. Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Jericho for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Pretty good match. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. But anyway, it was a pretty good match. And then you got the Mask versus the Cruiserweight Championship back at WCW. Jericho versus Huberto Guerrero. Okay match, you know. Dean Malenko versus Chris Jericho for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. That was alright. Then you got the Millennium Countdown Clock Expires back in WWF. Then you got No Way Out 2000s, Chris Jericho versus Kurt Angle. I can't complain. WWE Championship match, Chris Jericho versus Triple H. The Rock versus WCW champion Chris Jericho. That was alright. A really good match is, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Jericho for the Undisputed Championship. And then that's Disc 2. Disc 3 is the No Disqualification Championship match for the Undisputed Championship. Hulk Hogan versus Chris Jericho. You know, I'm not really interested in Hulk Hogan after what he did with TNA and everything, but that's another story, but yeah. WrestleMania 19, sorry, that was an awesome match. Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels, awesome match, loved it. I loved it. You're Fired match for the WWE Championship. Chris Jericho versus John Cena. You know, another the usual John Cena match. And I call every John Cena match the usual. Some of my friends do as well. Intercontinental Championship match, Chris Jericho versus Jeff Hardy. And before, if I may add, before that, it was the whole... Before that match, they had a little segment with the Save Us Y2J, his return after the whole Fired match. But anyway, the Intercontinental Championship, this has significant importance to it because of course, being the Intercontinental Champion. Another awesome match was the ladder match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels at the very last No Mercy pay-per-view. Then you got No Holds Barred match for the Intercontinental Championship. Yet another significant importance, if you want to say, with Mysterio and Jericho. Undertaker versus Chris Jericho at SmackDown. You know, that was alright. And my favorite match out of this entire DVD. This match, the World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 26, him versus Edge. That match, the Shawn Michaels versus Jericho at WrestleMania 19. What else was good? And the Eddie Guerrero and Cactus Jack match. They were awesome. I enjoyed them very much. But anyway, is this worth buying? Is this DVD worth buying to find out if he is the best in the world at what he is? Or what he does, sorry. Yeah, I think it's an awesome DVD, especially it being the only Chris Jericho DVD ever. I give this an 8.5, maybe an 8, yeah. One of them to an 8 or 8.5. Pros about this, it's a Jericho DVD. I've been waiting for a while for a Jericho DVD to come around. You know, they've had a Jericho book, but, you know, that's not really DVD, is it? The cons is if you guys look at the description box below, it's the link to the Breaking the Code Behind the Walls of Chris Jericho DVD of JohntheJaws. What he has to say was, I do agree with it. They missed out a number of his great matches. But overall, I do enjoy it. Recommendations is, of course, guys like me, Chris Jericho fans. Is this worth buying? Hell yeah. This is a Chris Jericho. Even if you're not a fan of Jericho, you still have to admit that a 20-year career with being the first undisputed champion, being the 9th time Intercontinental Champion, being the best in the world at what he does. And I say that with pride because he is the best in the world. And how does he make it? How does he? What makes him the best in the world at what he does? Look at his accomplishments. Look what he is today. He can do everything, from fitting his family time to fitting Fozzy to fitting wrestling. You can ask him many questions. Are you the best in the world at what you do? But you can also ask him a question. Well, that's, before, if I have to add, before, we would have asked him, are you the best in the world at what you do? We now have the proof with this DVD. Now we can ask him this question. When the hell are you going to return? Some say he's never going to return. Some say he's going to return in, like last time, after 2005. He returned in 2007. And some sources do tell me that he's going to be doing a part-time appearance, but I'm not too sure when. I'm not exactly sure when he's going to return, but there is rumors that some sources telling me that he is doing a part-time return, or appearance if you want to say, which I'll talk about more later on. But anyway, this is a worthy DVD, unlike the Tough Enough. This is a DVD that you should have in your collection. If you don't, I'm going to kill you. Literally. This DVD pretty much means that Jericho is the best in the world at what you do. At what he does. That Jericho is the best in the world at what he does. And if you don't believe me, and you haven't watched the DVD, well, we're going to have problems. Watch the DVD. But if you have, yeah, maybe we'll have a bit of a discussion. I think he is. I think Jericho is great. Some may disagree, some may agree. But only you decide. Why? Because you can. So anyway, Y2J Fan 94 logging off on this fantastic DVD of Breaking the Code Behind the Walls of Chris Jericho. Bye.